everybody. Welcome to the BS of the Week, number 3. I'm Patrick Driggett.
I'm Kevin Lucy.
I'm Tad Hastings.
And thank you all for all the wonderful support last week. Really appreciate it. Excited. This is great playoffs. A lot of fun stuff going on here in the Big Sky. And yeah, we're just looking forward to this show and the upcoming shows. Let's not wait any longer. Tad, tell us what happened in the PFC last week.
All right, in the PFC, we had the Titans that were taking on the Rivets. And to everybody's surprise, the Rivets won 52-17. Pretty much, time of possession was pretty close to even Steven, which was kind of surprising. But with Conrad's special teams and his ground and pound and with his pass attack just to keep the defense honest, he just kept on marching down the field, racking up those points and just, I can say, sadly, beating a great team like the Titans. So, that's pretty much the PFC game last week. That's pretty much right there in a nutshell.
Yeah, I didn't expect it to be that big of a score difference, honestly.
No,
I thought it'd be a little closer to the spread. But
I thought it'd be a little bit closer too. When I saw that, I was like, ooh, man.
Yeah.
Conrad at home? Yeah.
Yeah. So in the LFC last week, we had the Buccaneers at the Giant Hornets. Really pretty good game, but honestly, last week's player of the week, QB Calgary, just 77.4% completion percentage, 353 yards, 122 rating, absolutely great performance. He took a couple sacks, but it's going to happen, especially when you're passing that much. I think really it was just about that game and controlling the yardage. So, I think that Davies got the yardage they needed, but unfortunately just wasn't enough to control the clock in a way that removed the ball out of the hands of Calgary. So Hornets win 42-23. And so, yeah, that brings us up to our bowl game of Giant Hornets Rivets. So that'll be exciting. And I'm excited to see that one. And we'll be talking about that here in a second. But first, let's go through our of the weeks. Kevin, why don't you talk about Coach of the Week?
Okay, well, Coach of the Week this week I thought was quite difficult because, to be quite honest, we had the Rivets, who we expected to beat the Titans, and guess what? They beat the Titans. And we had the Hornets, who we expected to win, and they also won. So who do you go for Coach of the Week? So I thought I was going to use a slightly different criteria this week. So what I did is I looked at those people that are leaving us this week to move on to pastures new, as it were. So you've got Owen Marsden, who's only been with us for 2 weeks. He's contacted us. He's hoping to be back again. His business is expanding, so he's having to leave. We've got James Hemmings, who's basically been with us for 6 seasons in total. And he's moving on. Duncan Chappell has taken a role within the Atlanta. And of course, Brad Ulrich, who is also moving on to the Atlanta and has actually been in the G3 since season 10.
Wow.
Not only that, but Brad is also a big candidate for Coach of the Week because this is his 2nd year running that he's going to be running the Pro Bowl. Okay.
Wow.
But the way I decided who to do Coach of the Week is I'm going to ask a trivia question. Okay, so a trivia question for anyone that happens to be watching out there. Okay, how many coaches can you name that have been in the Sky Bowl and managed the Pro Bowl or coached the Pro Bowl in the same week? And off the top of your head, it's probably quite difficult to do. So that's why I am picking Colin Andrew as the Coach of the Week, because he has the honor of both being in the Sky Bowl and being a Pro Bowl coach.
That's
So
awesome.
Colin,
Has that ever happened before?
That's what you're going to find out.
All right. I'll put some Jeopardy music on.
So that's Coach of the Week. So over to Tad. Let's have the game of the week, Tad.
Well, I think for this week, for the game of the week, it's going to have to be the Titans and Rivets. You absolutely have to enjoy a thing of beauty. You got the Rivets. They're just absolutely on a roll. They won, 40 some plus games in a row. They're pretty much unstoppable. They beat the Titans. Granted, they were at home, but they beat the Titans, and Titans is not a slouch of a team. they're actually a really good team. So any coach who wanted the team, they'll be excited to take over a team like the Titans. But Conrad and his team, I mean, they're just racking up the points and they're just taking people down. 400 yards of offense versus the Titans 350. Well, again, it's no slouch, but point wise, they're just killing it. I mean, just alone in rushing, the Rivets had 6 rushing touchdowns and a whole 1 touchdown for the quarterback. But that's to keep the defense honest when he can put up that many yards on the ground and just keep on racking up 6 touchdowns a game. You gotta love beauty. So that's gonna be the game of the week.
Good choice.
Yeah.
And now Patrick for player of the week.
Yeah, so this week, I'm gonna pick a very high performer that had a high impact on this game, but ultimately was on the losing team. But I think the individual performance is still enough to make player of the week, and that's going to be the Buccaneers running back Davies, 320 yards rushing, 33 carries, 9.7 yard average. Yes, please. This sounds great. 2 touchdowns. He's an 8-season player. He was the MVP for the 5th time of the Buccaneers. He also was the season rushing leader. I mean, just an absolute workhorse for his team. It's the reason they are where they are. And he absolutely player of the week material. So running back Davies is the player of the week. So now we're going to talk about the big Sky Bowl coming up, huh? It's exciting. So I think we're going to go to Kevin for his analysis on this game.
Okay, well, the question really is this going to be a rerun of week 4 of last season when the Rivets beat the Hornets by 45-21, or have the Hornets come up in the world, as it were? The one thing that I am going to definitely predict is that the Rivets are going to score lots of points. That, I think, is a given. Reason they're going to score lots of points is number one, their special teams. Their special teams always give them really good field position, and that's going to make a massive difference, I think, in this game. The other thing is the Rivets offense keeps you guessing. As Tad alluded to earlier on, they throw the ball long to Rusley. They can run flat to Emu. They can run a line to Monk. So you really don't have any idea where the ball is going to go. Now, the Hornets have only lost twice this season. Once the Newcastle Eagles, 2017, in week 3, I think it was. And also, week 4. And in week 7, they also lost the Rushmores, 41-31. What those 2 teams have in common is they like to run. So the Hornets do not like defending against the run. And that's one of the reasons why I think the Rivets are going to get lots of points. So basically, this whole game is going to hinge upon the fact of whether the Rivets can shut down that amazing offense, the Calgary-Tripson duo, or if the Calgary-Tripson duo is cut out, can we cut out the Calgary-Watson duo? Because we know that the Hornets are going to throw short. They play short zone all the time, but knowing what they're going to do and stopping it is something that a lot of teams this year have not been able to do. Basically, if the Rivets can stop that short pass, then it's going to be a massacre. The Rivets will win easily. If, on the other hand, Calgary gets going with Tripson, Calgary gets going with Watson, this could be a very, very interesting game. So that's my thoughts on it. Tad, what are your thoughts?
My thoughts on this game is exactly as you said before, Kevin. The offense keeps the defenses absolutely guessing what they have to do. But here you have the Rivets. They have 2,300 yards passing on the season. Not the best in the world, but 2,300 yards is no chump change. So you have to protect yourself defensively against the pass. Then he runs for another 2,800 yards. So now you got more rushing yards than passing yards, and he's picking up like 10, 12, 15 yards at a clip. Now you got to defend that. So how do you defend against that? And that's the question that the Hornets are really going to have to answer, and they have to answer hard, and they have to answer quick. it's going to be a big uphill task. Now, you've mentioned Tripson. A lot of people don't understand. It's like, yeah, Tripson has a lot of receiving yards for the Hornets. But the really cool thing is, and this is my type of player, I love these players to death. Tripson is a running back. And he has almost 1,800 yards passing this year. Receiving. That's absolutely incredible. This guy should definitely be a Hall of Famer once he finally goes up and retires. I'm hoping that he really gives Coach Whittingham his hands full, because the guy's just an absolutely amazing running back catching that many yards. But ultimately, in the end, do the Hornets have enough to stop the awesome offense, a really great defense, and a really great special teams? Those three combinations is going to be very hard. But as two Super Bowl champions going against each other, we'll see what happens. Patrick?
Yeah, I mean, I think y'all have very accurately summed up things. For me, I think it's an interesting game because the Rivets defense is great. It's rated well overall, but it is vulnerable to the pass. And I think that is an opening, right? And so, the question that you both, answered, or at least spoke to was, it's possible, right? Like if he stacks against it, I think he can do well. I do think, though, it is a vulnerability. And can they stop the Giant Hornets, right? QB Calgary got Player of the Week last week. This is not a ideal matchup for sure, but it is, certainly there's an opening there. And I also am shocked by the prediction. I think the computer predicted like a 6-point spread or something like that in the Rivets' favor. And that, at least by the numbers, right? Not that that's perfect, right? We already saw last week where that falls apart, but it certainly thinks it can be close. And I think it's this. Can the Giant Hornets stop the Rivets' run game? If they can stop the Rivets' run game and they can be effective in the pass, they definitely have a shot. If the Hornets can kind of keep time of possession going by making some key stops against the Rivets' running game, they have a fighting chance. And so, yeah, that leads us to our bold predictions. Kevin, what are you thinking?
Okay, well, as I said, basically, if the Rivets stop the pass game, then it's game over. Could be a 40-point spread. However, I'm going to shock you all, and I'm going to say that the Hornets couldn't care less about defense. They're just going to score more points than you guys are. That's their attitude. So this is going to be an 80-plus game. It's going to be a massive scoring game, which the Hornets are going to win by 3.
Wow.
Wow.
Okay.
Nice. Going out there on a limb. You must have money on this game. I say it's going to be the Rivets. I just think the Rivets have too much. Offense, defense, special teams, they're all clicking on all cylinders. I think they're throwing a little bit of nitrous in the back too. They're just moving. And I think even though the Hornets is a really, really good team, and I agree with both of your analysis, I just think by the end of the day, it's too much to handle right now. And I have to say Rivets by plus 21.
Wow, that's great. Okay. What's funny, I thought I was going to be the oddball here, which also tells me that I definitely shouldn't say this and I definitely shouldn't bet on this, but I also was going to say the Hornets by 3. And I think it's mostly wishful thinking, but certainly I think if they make it a shootout, they have a shot at it. If they can keep the ball in their hands and move it, that's where they get a shot. Now, I think it gets into that scenario that Tad talks about in his prediction, very easily if the Rivets get their stops. And I think that's I think it's a toss up in that regard, but I'm going to go with the Hornets by 3 so I can look, just as smart as Kevin if it happens. But, ultimately that's why I'm not allowed to go to Vegas and spend money, because I don't make good bets.
What did they say, Pat? Fools seldom differ.
Yeah.
Great.
So,
Now if the Hornets win next week, let me rub it in on me, right?
Yeah.
As if we would do that.
It's a safe bet, to be honest. That your spread's pretty intense, but it's also I can see it happening.
I it's not like he has a great offense and a pretty good defense and a pretty good special teams. I mean, his offense, defense, and special teams is like top class. And I just think it's just too much for anybody right now. I mean, I'll be surprised if the Hornets win. I would be rooting for the Hornets, but I just think if I was a betting man, my money goes down to Rivets.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, awesome stuff. Thanks for the predictions and the analysis. Kevin, do you want to talk about what's going to be going on here soon?
Yeah, well, I don't know if you've noticed, but next week it's actually the Sky Bowl.
What?
It is the culmination of a whole season's worth of work. And my God, do we have a program for you guys out there? It's going to be one heck of a special program. We're going to be talking analysis. We're going to be talking all about the game. There only is one game in town, and it can only be watched in one place, and that's here. So make sure you all tune in, guys. We have the BS of the Week special Sky Bowl game.
Awesome.
So, Tad, what's happening for the rest of the reminder for everything else that we should be doing this week?
Well, besides for watching the most important game of the season, little cliff notes here is just pretty much, we still got poaching offers coming up, trade boards coming up. So make sure, let's get the Big Sky going and let's try to get some trades, like pre-trading going. If you haven't yet, make sure to go to the main boards here and look at R&R's things about the draft and the change to the draft publications. It's an important thing to look at. And if you haven't done yet, there's still Discord for G3, and also Patrick set up the G3 community, and that's up and running too. So we haven't logged in there yet. Go ahead, log in, sign in. Patrick will get you in there, and let's try to get that community up and going too. So we can have two different communities going side by side, and I think that'll really be good. And you can do all kind of different polls on the G3 community and stuff and everything. So let's try to get that going. Patrick?
Yeah, thank you both. This has been fun. Episode 3. We've stayed with it 3 weeks. It's great. Feels good for the future, and it's a lot of fun. Hope everybody out there who's watching this has been enjoying all of the content that we're making, really trying to get Big Sky out there, hoping, to see some more stuff coming in the upcoming season. And we just wanted to thank you all from the bottom of our hearts. And we hope you have an awesome week. Can't wait to watch the games with y'all. Bye.
Take care, guys. Bye.